this is not a question about how to extricate ourselves from Iraq or Al-Qaeda. I'd like to know what your thoughts are on the foundations, the footings, the historical and practical and whatnot, things that have gotten us into this state vis-a-vis that portion of the Muslim world who is so opposed to us. I want the deep stuff. No.
Well, I don't think you have to go back to the birth of Muhammad. I think it's relatively recent. What actually happened is we've had the attitude about the Middle East since really the late 1970s that it was a part of the world that just didn't fall under the rule of law and that people could get away with using force. We weren't the only ones who had that view, and when the Soviets came into Afghanistan, we urged the Saudis and the Pakistanis to work with us and create a resistance movement called the Army of God to fight the Soviets. It was the beginning of the Mujahideen. Osama bin Laden was one of those people. And over the same period of time, many of the so-called moderate Arab states ended up not making economic progress. They had a lot of population growth, but they didn't develop economies, so they don't have employment. So you've got a lot of angry young men in Egypt, in Saudi Arabia, in Pakistan. You've got societies that aren't functioning properly to use the young people in productive ways. You've got a religion that has one branch of it that is extremist. And you've got someone like Osama bin Laden who already had a lot of assistance and help in learning how to train, organize, and support irregular movements. And it all came together. And we were the logical symbol because by the late 90s it was clear that the Egyptian regime was too tough to target. Hosni Mubarak had really tough security. And Osama bin Laden joined with his Egyptian Islamic Jihad and several other groups, and they agreed they would target the United States. We were the symbol. Wall Street, Washington. We were the symbol that they could use to mobilize that anger and frustration and sense of powerlessness in the Arab world. And yes, there is a fatwa out to kill all Americans issued. It's a religious decree issued by Osama bin Laden. But don't be fooled by this. The real target is Saudi Arabia itself, the control of Mecca and Medina, displacing the Saudi royal family and regaining control of Islam. That's the real immediate objective. And so those are the roots of it. And the way you've got to fight it is by pursuing it and taking it apart, cell by cell, structure by structure, roll it up from the outside in and the bottom up, and go after Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. You've got to cut off the funding, deny the support bases, and then also attack the headquarters that's there somewhere in western Pakistan. And we will do all of that. But we should not misunderstand this. It is springing from the problems of development in several different Islamic countries. It's feeding on population growth and angry young people whose aspirations cannot be fulfilled within society and who find an outlet through a radical and zealous religious approach which they believe encourages this kind of terror. So we got to do more than kill terrorists. We've got to work the fundamental issues from which the terrorism itself is springing.